I'm Barbara French. I am the Conservation Officer for Bat Conservation International. I am a wildlife biologist, and I'm also a volunteer bat rehabilitator. So I take care of orphaned and injured bats and release most of them back into the wild. I spend a lot of time taking care of bats and a lot of time watching them and studying them, and I really enjoy working with the bats. I've learned so many things about them from taking care of them. For instance, I was able to, through a small captive colony that was eventually grew at my house from bats that were not able to be released, I was able to learn about their language and to share information about what the little bats are saying to one another in the colonies. They have a very complex language, and it's interesting to see all the different kinds of things they do and say with one another. And I did many things and have done many things working with the bats. I've co-authored a book, the Captive Care and Medical Reference, for the rehabilitation of insectivorous bats, and I take care of flying foxes, fruit bats, for Bat Conservation International. The fruit bats were a real joy because those are not bats that we have in the United States. So it was very exciting for me to take care of fruit bats and begin learning a lot about fruit bats as well. I have always enjoyed my work with bats. Working with Bat Conservation International has been very exciting for me because it's given me the opportunity to have a much longer reach, to be able to help conserve bats and to protect bat habitat all over the world. So I've had the opportunity to reach out and really help a lot of people who are also interested in helping to preserve and protect the bats. We have a global grassroots conservation fund, and we encourage and help people all over the world to start very grassroots bat conservation programs. We help people who know a lot about bats and people who don't know anything about bats. So we educate people, we provide information for people who perhaps just have bats roosting in their attic and want to know what they can do about that. So we have a very wide reach around the planet, and it's a wonderful job for me. It's very exciting. It means that I spend maybe 15 to 20 hours a day sometimes working with bats, talking to people about bats, and helping to protect bats in one way or another. Today what we're going to do is show you some of these bats and some of those that we have in the United States, and even some of the fruit bats that we have that we're taking care of today. This is Mrs. Green Jeans. Mrs. Green Jeans is a Mexican free-tail bat. You can see that she has a very delicate wing membrane, although it's actually very strong. It extends all the way to her foot, and then from her foot to her tail, and a little piece of tail sticks out free. That's where the Mexican free-tail bat gets their name. The little tail sticks out. Whereas with other bats, this tail membrane actually extends all the way to the tip of the tail. These bats are really very small. They only weigh 11 to maybe 14 grams, and that's less than an ounce. As a matter of fact, they weigh probably about as much as 3 nickels. And these bats do have very long wingspan, so when you stretch both of their wings all the way out, from one wingtip to the other wingtip can measure 12 inches, almost a 1-foot wingspan, even though they're very tiny. But when they fold their wings up, then you can see how small the bat itself really is. These bats have kind of big floppy ears and a broad nose, big wide mouth, and these little guys are really important. They eat lots of moths, the moths that lay eggs that develop into larvae that feed on all kinds of important agricultural crops. The corn earworm is an important crop pest that these bats feed on. They're very high-speed flyers. They can fly up to 40 miles an hour. Even they have been clocked at 60 miles an hour with tailwinds. So we get lots of these bats. These are the bats that live in the very heart of our city in Austin, Texas. And we have 1 million of them there. Everyone loves our bat colony in Austin. People come from all over the world to see these little guys. This is Rapunzel. Rapunzel is Penelope's baby. Penelope is a cave bat, and these bats you can see have much more pointed ears than the Mexican free-tail bats did. And they probably weigh about the same, 10 to 15 grams, but they have a much broader wing. You see, it's much broader than what it is on the Mexican free-tail bat. And also, you can see how the membrane goes from the wing to the foot, and in this case, all the way to the tip of the tail. The cave bats are oftentimes found roosting in the same places that Mexican free-tail bats are, although they'll roost separately in their own little groups, their own little clusters. And she's talking right now to us. She wants to take off and take a little flight around the bat hospital. We won't let her leave right yet. But they're also very important insect eaters. They're found in a limited portion of the southwestern U.S. This is a big brown bat. These bats are found throughout the United States and parts of Canada. They're not really very big. They're probably 3 or 4 inches long and weigh between 13 and 20 grams. But they're still large compared to a lot of the North American bats. She's also an insect eater, eats cucumber beetles, and is a good friend to the farmers. She has a very long, silky fur, and again, a broad wing, unlike the narrow wings of the Mexican free-tail bat. The broader the wing the bat has, the more able they are to make quick maneuvers in small areas. The long wings are best for high-speed flight. This here is Becky, and Becky has lived here for a couple of years. She's going to squirm around a little bit there. But you can see that she has a little more pointed ear than the Mexican free-tail bat, but not as pointed as the cave bat. She also has a sort of dark, leathery-looking nose, and darker wings. And the fur, the color of the fur can vary from almost a golden brown to a dark chocolate brown on the big brown bats. These are one of our more common bats in the United States. This is the evening bat. Evening bats are very small. They only weigh perhaps 7 grams, as much as maybe half as much as the Mexican free-tail bats. You can see how they're much darker. They're found throughout southeastern parts of the United States, and they're also sometimes called the twilight bat. They have sort of rounded ears, but not big and floppy like the Mexican free-tail bat ears. And they have sort of a dark nose, a black-looking nose and ears, and they also have a tail, that membrane that extends all the way to the tip of the tail, just like the cave bat did. And I'll open my hand so you can actually get a nice look at how tiny this bat really is. This is an adult. This is Vinny, and he's an adult male, and he had a wing injury, and that's why Vinny came to live here with me and the rest of the bats.